Solve an absolute value equation and inequality. Recall, if a real number and if a is the real number, then the absolute value of a is absolute value of a equal a or negative a if a is greater than or equal 0 or a less than or equal 0. So recall, for example, so absolute value of x equal to 7. This implies x either equal to 7 or x equal to negative 7. So the absolute value talking about the distance from the numbers, the distance to 0 or the origin, whatever that origin may be. This origin here in this case is 0. So the absolute value equals 7, meaning it's talking about 7 units from 0. So 7 units from 0 can be go to 7 or go to negative 7. So this technically asking for 7 units from the origin, and the origin is 0 in this case. Okay, so example, use the fact that absolute value of x equals c is equivalent to x equal plus or minus c to solve the absolute value equation. The absolute value of 5 minus 2x plus 6 equals 14. So to solve an absolute value equation, we first isolate the absolute value term. And in order to do that, I will subtract 6 to both sides in this case. So absolute value of 5 minus 2x equal 8. Then I will split this into two cases where 5 minus 2x equal 8 or 5 minus 2x equal negative 8 and solve this equation independently. So then we have two solutions here. X equal to negative 3 over 2 or x equal 13 over 2. Let's talk about the absolute value inequality. We use the following property to solve the inequality that involve the absolute value. So we have absolute value of x is less than c. So in word, absolute value of x less than c would mean we're talking about the x is c unit, x is less than c unit, from the origin. And the origin here in this case is 0. So if it's less than c unit, so let's say here c, here negative c, would mean we are looking everything here in this interval. Okay, so here's the graph. And we have an open dot. Now, in the next case, we have the absolute value of x is less than or equal to c. This means we have a closed dot at c. And that also meant that we include the value of c. Okay. In the next case, we look at absolute value of x is greater than c. So in word, it say the absolute value of x. So let's back up. So the absolute value of x is greater than C. This means X is C unit greater, this would say X is greater than C unit from the origin. And the origin here is 0. Okay. So here C and negative C. If X is greater, C unit greater, then it will go that way. X is greater than C. Okay. So let's put the graph in here. And because we have a we don't have an equal sign in our inequality, we have open dot. And the last one, we have closed dot. Okay. So let's solve the inequality and express the answer using both interval notation and graph. Again, to solve an inequality or to solve a absolute value equation, first then we need to isolate the absolute value term. So to do that, here I multiply both sides of the equation by 2. Okay. So absolute value of 4x plus 1/3 greater than 5/3. So it is equivalent to the formula 3 in your equation. So I can rewrite this as 4x plus 1/3 is less than negative 5/3, or 4x plus 1/3 is greater than 5/3. And I will solve this inequality independently. Okay, so let's take a look at the graph. So negative a half is 16/3, that's greater than 0. So x is less than negative a half and x greater than 16/3. So that is our graph. And our interval notation in this case would be negative infinity to negative a half union with 16/3 to positive infinity. For the next problem, 2 times absolute value of 1/2 x plus 3 less than or equal 51. I'd like you to try this example on your own and present the complete solution in the discussion board.